Welcome, everybody, to episode 84 of the Slightly Above Average Gaming Podcast. I am J007 TV, joined, as always, by the homie Sub1KD. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. How are you?
I'm all right, man. I'm all right. I'm fucking getting irritated because everybody's telling me I'm quiet. I've never been told I'm quiet in my fucking life. My wife had to build a goddamn room with soundproof panels in here, and I still get in trouble. So how the fuck am I being called quiet?
Well, you've evolved over time, I guess.
Dude, it's so funny because, like, my setup has gone less but more complicated, if that makes sense at all.
Less stuff.
More stuff, problems. But kind of more complicated. Problem. I'm still trying to figure out things like, I was telling you before the show, like, I included the GoldenEye pause music from the actual game for my Be Right Back screen. And I had the overall VOD, like the music, like all that's separated. So I could play whatever the hell I want. And it's not a big deal. After I remembered to go through and separate it in the advanced audio properties again, and about 15 fucking warnings from Twitter or from Twitch, but I forgot to do that for that music, so it was dinging me, and I don't know what, like this morning I saw the notification, I'm like, what the hell? So I go in there, and then, but like if you look at like the VOD track, like what it does, like on the VOD, it'll like pink out the area that it mutes. So if you click on that, you can see what screen you're in. And then like every single screen I was on, it was on the pause screen. So that's how I figured it out.
Yeah. That'll do it.
How's your week been, dude?
Not bad. Spent yesterday working on, I don't know, neighbor has an old slide-in camper for the truck, just rotting on his property, eyeballing, seeing if I can get that off of him for the cost of getting it off of his property. And so, but went and looked at it yesterday, and it's in a little bit rougher shape than I would prefer. So we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, so messing with that. My wife's birthday's coming up end of the week, so her girlfriends are going out today. And I learned my lesson from there's a wine walk in one of the neighboring towns. So I learned my lesson from last time. Last time she said, don't worry, I'm not going to, she doesn't drink a whole lot. She said, I'm not going to drink too much. I got a call at like 6:30. And it's one of her friends saying, hey, you got to come get your wife because she ain't going to be able to drive home today. I'm going to go drop her off and call that a day. So that'll eat up, honestly, a good chunk of the day is going up and getting her and going up and dropping her off and all that shit. So it'll be what it'll be. But otherwise, it's not a whole lot going on this weekend. Just kind of, random shit. Thinking of going live today at some point for a little bit.
Since you mentioned that, we've talked about this offline, and I feel like we need to do like a better job promoting our other things that we have going on. Like, you've got some like really good videos that are fucking popping over on YouTube. Like, we need to promote that more, I think. And then, I've got my Twitch channel, which is actually doing pretty solid right now.
You're doing great.
Yeah, so I mean, you can find Sub1 over on YouTube. It's Sub1KD at YouTube. Just search that, you'll find him. And then I'm over on Twitch, as well as the podcast Twitch page. That one is twitch.tv/SAAG podcast. We got the homie Silencer over there right now. I can see that is up and live right now. And then the same for me, /J007 TV. So that's where I spend most of my time. But this weekend, I'm hoping to just get some games in. I'm going to be grilling some pork chops later after that fire-ass brisket I did last week, dude. That shit was incredible.
That looked good.
Dude,
when are you going to bring one of those over here?
I need to. But I actually took some of the leftovers. Like a lot of times, like we'll have just a little bit of waste at the end. We didn't have a piece of waste because I took some of like the point, which is like the more fatty part.
Yeah.
And I like grinded that up and use that as drizzle over smoked deviled eggs with a barbecue sauce glaze on it for Easter, they were fucking fire, dude. It was fantastic.
Love it.
Yeah. So
making me hungry, man.
It's
making
hard to follow
hungry.
That up, but I am doing some pork chops and burgers tomorrow. So I'll do pork chops today, burgers tomorrow.
Yeah, I actually grabbed a barrel. So around here, a popular way of doing a smoker is to actually do a you get an old 55-gallon drum and you pop the lid off, and then you poke some holes in it and basically throw your briquettes down at the bottom, and then hang your meat over top. So got my hand, there's a local lady who does she makes honey, so she's beekeeper, right? And she's always got these goes through these barrels of I don't know what is mine right now. It's like wax or something.
It's like a 50-gallon drum.
Yeah, and oh no, it's shea butter or something like that. I don't know. I think she makes like candles and soap and crap. And so she just was like, "Hey, anybody need a barrel?" I'm like, "Yes, ma'am." So I'm gonna put that together, start trying to compete head to head with you. Not really, because that's gonna be hard to do. But gonna get some smoking going. I haven't done smoking in a while.
Are you going to also kind of put an air, like I know you said you're going to be like dangling the meat over the charcoal, but are you going to put like little L clamps where you can set like a grate on there and do burgers in there too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So.
Yeah, that's dope, man. I can't wait to see. Make sure you photo the process.
Yeah. Well, so what you do is you basically drill two holes, a set of holes on it. You run rebar through it.
Yeah.
And you do that low enough that you can put a grate. It'll fit a Weber grate pretty easily, if I recall.
Okay.
So.
I just wish the Weber was a little taller, by the way. Like, I have my Weber, and I feel like I'm fucking leaning over it all the time. Like, I wish it was like about 6 inches taller.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be about right. It's, if you're not a short person. Well, so totally going down the tangent, you know how Weber's got invented, right?
No.
It was a company that made buoys.
Okay.
They made buoys for like out in the ocean, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're basically like a hollow drum, usually with a counterweight at the bottom, and then something on top, like a beacon or whatever the marker on top. And they literally just were like, one day cut one in half and just we're gonna makeshift a grill for like a company picnic or something. And it worked really well. And they were like, holy shit, this works really well. And so they just started like making them. And then the buoy company went out of business, and they just started selling Webers.
I'll have to tell you offline, because I don't want to fucking dox myself, how my company invented our product. But there's other products that are like invented by fucking accident like that too. Like, I think the inventor of Velcro, which was like in the 40s, dude's out walking along, and some of the burros like clap to him or like stick to him or whatever. And then that's where, like, when he's pulling them off and seeing them stick, like that's where he came up with the concept to create Velcro. God damn, that's enough nerd shit for the morning.
You say it's enough nerd shit, and we're about to talk about a video game. So, we're nerd central. It happens. Welcome to what happens when you get to be 40. The stuff that intrigues you. By the way, I want to throw out a special happy birthday to this bad boy.
Oh yeah.
Game Boy turned, I think, 36 this week?
Nice.
Something like that. So, super fun. One of my favorite game consoles of all time. Enjoy it.
I never had an actual Game Boy.
So I'll bet you can't. I'll bet you didn't log enough time in Tetris to be able to properly pack a box truck.
I played a decent amount. Because I had friends that had one, but like I don't think I had one. Like I had the NES when it came out. Like the Christmas it came out, I got it for Christmas. It's so funny because they said it was a family gift, but I was the one that always played it.
That's how it happens.
So it was pretty much mine. But yeah, did you also see that they've already started kind of trying to take like pre-orders for the Switch 2?
Which did not fly off the shelves.
No, but you know what people are doing? They are they're throwing up like just graphics of the Switch and putting them for sale online to fuck with the scalpers, because that's a big problem, right? Like, I saw I Am Rob TV. He's like, I think scalpers should now, like, I'm to a point where they should face like federal time because they're bitches, bro. Like, they scalp shit and then drive the costs up of everything. Like,
well, all you have to do is, as a retailer, figure out how not to sell it to a bunch, not to sell your entire inventory to two people.
You'd basically have to kill your online sales. I mean, honestly, like, look at, like, when we built this PC, I told you they wouldn't let me complete the build online. I had to go in the shop and buy it.
Yeah. I mean,
because people do that with the graphics
Walmart
cards.
does. So Walmart, I think, still has, as of yesterday, they still had some in stock for pre-orders, and you had to sign up for the Walmart app, and you had to like make an account on it, and they verify, and like through that you verify your information, and then you can buy one per household.
That's the way. I mean, listen, that's the way it should be, man.
The problem is retailers don't care, right? It's they sell out at retail. They sell it at retail. They've made their money. There's like they are out of that ecosystem.
Yeah, that does suck.
Amazon does an interesting. I mean, if they really want, I mean, here's if they really want to go after scalpers, you do what Amazon does. You order it, it ties it to you. So then you have to go through the hassle of unconnecting it to your account and unregistering it to your information. Like if Nintendo actually cared, then you would have to you would go through and before they ship it to you or before they let you buy it, you'd have to create like a Nintendo account tied to your credit card and address and phone number.
Mm-hmm.
And then they would ship it to you and it would be pre-registered to you. And then sure enough, you could then unregister it and open it. But then you've got an opened device and it's not the same, then it's harder to resell as a new thing.
Yeah.
If they wanted to.
Yeah,
I don't think that's the right answer. I think the answer is you just make enough of these things that you don't create the scenario in the first place.
That's fair too. I mean, remember when the 40, it might have been the 30 and the 40 series both, like we couldn't get those.
Could barely get the 50 series.
You know what's crazy is dude, like I see fucking, and I gotta tell you, they treat that shit like a goddamn jewelry store too. That motherfucker, when he put it in my cart, he had to walk away and grab something. He literally grabs it up out of the cart and took it with him. Like he was not gonna leave that 50, 70 there. It was wild.
Smart.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, but, I mean, again, Micro Center, it's a physical store and they're one of the last actual computer stores in the world. So we're in the country. Back in the day, we had enough computer stores. You could just go to CompUSA. You could go to Fry's. You could go anywhere.
We had a big ass Fry's here, and they closed.
Yeah. Well, Fry's went out of business because Amazon.
Amazon has killed so many fucking businesses, dude. It's
But it's so convenient to get shit in 2 days.
Well, honestly, it really is. It really is. And like we have stuff that's on like constant order, like toilet paper, paper towels, those kind of things. I mean, like that's cool to be able to do that. But what's funny is like I know we're going to get into the game here, but just around the corner from me, they've been building a new a new strip like for retail stores, and I'm thinking, how the fuck what are you going to put in there that you can't get on Amazon? Like,
hair salons and gyms. That's what we get around here. Everybody wants to open a new. There's like 30 different types of gyms that are like obscure workouts, like Pilates on steroids and hair salons.
Yeah. So, and nail salons too.
And nail salons. Yeah. Those are hard to order. That's hard to do on Amazon.
And donut stores, like donut stores. There's always a fucking donut store too.
Too many healthy people around here for enough donut stores. I gotta go like 20 minutes down the road to find a donut store.
Y'all got like fucking grass and mud stores, like mud water and grass. Like y'all, that's what y'all serve for treats up there.
Get the hell out of here. Anyways, so how's your time in Verdansk? We've been 3 weeks into Verdansk.
Mm-hmm.
We are now well into the everything sucks life cycle of Call of Duty, at least online. How do you feel about it? Do you agree? Do you agree with the online that Verdansk is over? We're cooked. It's done. Fold it up. Go on a marathon.
I don't agree with that. While there are things and it's well documented, there's a couple things that I dislike about it, and we're going to talk about some of these things here in a second. I think overall, Warzone is in the best place it's been in a while. they're actually paying attention to the map. They've there's just I can't talk enough about the audio, dude. The audio is just so much better right now. The only thing that fucks me up is parachutes. I still have a hard time. I feel like I'm like fucking Smokey from Friday sitting in that pigeon coop after he had the meth or whatever. Like I can't figure out where the fuck it's coming from.
Well, and you're still running the default audio.
Yeah.
You haven't done anything, so you're on default audio, so it's pretty good.
Yeah, no, it's pretty good. Like I'm hearing people like, so I got actually a solo win this week. I got a nice little solo win. And the cool thing about it was, aside from the win, is I could actually hear. So like it ends downtown, and I dropped down to where the final circle was. And so there were two rooms. There was room I was in, which was obviously clear. And then there was a room with a doorway right to the next room. I could hear him perfectly that he was in that room. I knew where he was.
Obviously, audio cheats.
And I can't say that I've always been able to tell that.
Audio has been radically improved in season 3 for sure. I split time between PC and Xbox, and I will say without certainty this is the best audio we've had since the last time we were on Verdansk. And I have done so I have what do I have for audio? So I have done multiple audio setups. I have done audio on the Art is War setup on the PC. I've done audio with the what's it called? Oh, dang it. Now I can't remember his name. Gadgetry Tech's audio setup. And then I have done straight audio on console, and I've done audio with the Astro, or not the Astro, Steel Series Game Buds, so with their sonar system on it. The base audio is the best we've had since the last time we were in Verdansk. It's phenomenal. It is working really, really well. That being said, the current I haven't checked in the last couple of days if he's updated anything, but the current Art is War audio I don't think it hits right. I don't think his target for the Warzone is correct. And it sounded kind of muddy. However, Gadgetry Tech nailed it. It is the best I think I've ever heard Warzone, to be honest, in terms of like the competitiveness and the ability to hear footsteps, to hear noises you need to not get blown out by boxes and air conditioning units. It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. And then on the Steel Series on Xbox, phenomenal. Like for a console, like it's great.
Do you see that PlayStation is now going to do their audio enhancement? So it's like,
so technically, everybody who's using PlayStation is cheating now, by definition. By definition, you're using audio cheese now. You're all cheaters. Every PlayStation user is now a hacking, cheating, streamer by definition. Sorry, I don't make the rules. I just report them.
So I think that's pretty awesome, man. I mean, it's funny.
For anybody who doesn't pay attention on Twitter, that's kind of like the going thing of like there's a small group of individuals who believe that doing anything is cheating. So therefore, like if you use any kind of extra audio outside of the game, what the game gives you, then you're cheating, and therefore it's the same as using walls and aimbot. Just I don't make the rules.
People that probably play fucking 2 hours a week and expect the game to be fucking catered to them too. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I think that's pretty awesome. So like overall, I think the audio is pretty good. I think that visually they did a fantastic job on the map. Like there's not any time where I'm like, I couldn't fucking see him kind of thing. Whereas like you remember, especially after the integration of Black Ops 6, like not being able to see shit in a stairwell, like that's not really an issue. I don't know that there'll be any operator cheese unless they come out with another like Gaia or fucking Terminator skin again.
I've kind of seen Terminator skins dying off.
Yeah, because they're not as I actually went to my so I went through that process for those co-op missions in Modern Warfare 2 to unlock the Price ghillie suit operator. Which that shit took me like fucking 8 hours to do that, by the way, and I'm never doing that again.
For the safes?
No, dude, it was like you had to do these missions, like these co-op missions, and you had certain times it felt like I was playing Super Mario in Call of Duty, where like you're having to like jump over certain things and like do all this. So anyway, I did that, and I have the gillied up price operator. So that's kind of what I've been using into in Verdansk. So visually it's great. I think really the biggest
one, by the way, is the Sasquatch operator.
Oh yeah, well,
because it is like too. Perfect for the grass in like it is a perfect blend on the grass in Verdansk, which is hilarious that we've gone that far of a circle, and it's probably one of the rarest operator skins you can get, not because it's not like because it's not available to earn. It was only available if you bought Jack Link's beef jerky during a brief window at the launch of MW2. However, most people couldn't get it because they put the stickers, the redemption stickers, on the outside of the beef jerky packages, and everyone just went through and just stole all the stickers off.
Yeah. We're not you just live. Couldn't get it. I think we got knocked off on Twitter. Because is it buffering for you?
Yes, it is now.
That's tragic.
Well, we'll keep going. It'll hopefully come back.
Yeah. All right.
So, anyway, I blame Twitter.
Yeah. Fuck, man. Elon, get your shit together. You can put a rocket in fucking space, but you can't keep a goddamn broadcast online. How awesome is that?
Anyway, moving on. So we were talking about audio. We still have people on. Twitch is still up.
Yeah, Twitch is still up. I'm not mad.
Mad at Elon.
No, I'm just calling it like it is. He needs to fix his shit. Remember that Snoop Dogg video where he's talking about Xbox? You need to fix your shit.
Yeah.
We're trying to play the fucking game. Fix your shit.
Exactly.
Yeah. But anyway, thanks, Bronson. Yeah, we see Twitter went down. I don't know what.
Blame Elon. We're still up, so.
Yeah, we're up over here. So anyway, I mean, this is going to go out on Spotify and Apple. But yeah, like, so overall, I think everything's good. I don't care. Like, the ground loot situation is fucking awful. It's trash.
It's not ideal.
Dude, it's either LMG. So I went from shotgun and snipers only to now snipers and LMGs or LMGs and snipers. That's it. I can't hardly, in a lot of places, I can't find any ARs or SMGs, man.
Yeah. It's the ground loot's not great. I'm not enjoying it. And they're doing a weird thing, which I don't hate, but it's not working great either. They're doing a weird thing where they are saying, where they are taking the ground loot is randomized attachments. I don't know if you've noticed that, but it's like you get 2 attachments, but you don't always get the same 2. Like before, they would craft ground loot guns, and they would have, and actually, I think I want to touch on this later a little bit because it ties into one of the experiences that I had this week. But ground loot, randomized attachments, there's too many shotguns. There's a lot of Marine SPs.
Just take them out of the ground loot. None of them, they're never any good. They're either way OP or they're trash.
And when they're OP, they're never OP for it's never good for our, like it's never the build that's good, right? It's some other build. And so I don't know. Get them out. I'm fine with that. Delete. But yeah, so ground loot's okay. I mean, it's not the worst ground loot we've ever had. Remember that one season where it was all pistols and sniper rifles, and not good sniper rifles. This was in Cold War at some point, and it was like garbage snipers and pistols. Like you would just and not even like the Diamatti. Like they were just pistols. And you would just pick up a pistol to go with your other pistol,
Yeah.
And then you turn around and pick up a damn sniper rifle, and then you get 3 more sniper rifles, and then you'd run into somebody who got, their loadout early, and now you're just screwed because you can't fight them.
Yeah, that's kind of got me thinking, though, because I do notice, though, that, and maybe this was a design decision, that the loot is better in certain locations. Like when I drop mill base, I find significantly
there are
better
high
loot.
value loot locations. Like they did that. They talked about that. That's by design. Like there are certain areas that designed to create hot drops, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like military has good loot. Superstore has good loot. There's good loot over in storage is hit and miss. Promenade has loot. More red boxes per structure. Things like that.
I dropped mill base running a solo this week, and it was funny because I think I had an SMG. I was over by the tent area, that row of tents, and then up above that, like that on that like rock face, the cliff, you got a couple buildings like that usually have a box or two. So I'm going through trying to loot, and I notice out of the corner of my eye glint up there, and I'm like, oh fuck. So then there's like one box, like there's one box that's like out between like in the middle of the row of tents, and it had a crate next to it. So I get up next to that, and what do I find? A purple Car 98, and I basically grabbed it quickly and then just bop killed that dude. It was pretty awesome.
I will say the Car 98s they've gotten ground loot are fire.
Dude, they're good.
The red. Have you picked up a red one yet?
Yeah.
Oh my!
Yeah, even the red and the orange.
Forget it.
Are both good.
I don't need my loadout. I'm good to go. I'm gonna grab my 8 attachment SMG and we're just gonna run this bitch because that thing is so nice. But yeah, no, the ground loot, it's hit and miss. Like, I don't know how much I like the random attachments. Picking up a 2x scope on a fucking PP 919. Not my favorite thing to do.
Dude, there's a 3x on that.
Or a 3x, yeah, a 3x on a 9. Like, not my favorite thing to do, to be honest. Now, look, you could if tac, it would be okay if we had tac stance by default. If they brought that back, then we could handle it because you could just put it in tac stance and not a big deal. And the 919, honestly, you could probably stretch that out a little bit. It's slower up close, but it does pretty decent at medium range. Like,
it's decent. I got a couple kills with it last night on the drop.
So as a sniper support, if you could tac stance that and use it up close, it wouldn't be the worst gun on earth. But without tac stance, forget it. Like it's no good. So the ground loot's a mess. I wish they had better. Yeah, I just wish they would take shotguns out completely. Just don't do it. And I got a story about that. I'm going to share that in a little bit, but yeah, but otherwise, I mean, the game loop itself is phenomenal.
Agreed.
Really enjoying that, and enjoy the fact that plunder is mayhem. Again,
I haven't played a single match of plunder.
I haven't played it either, but I know a lot of folks that do, and they're just having great. The people that like to play plunder are having a good time, from what I hear.
It sounds so. Basically, to me, minus the resurgence guys, which I can understand they're not.
We'll talk about that too.
But so you have the people that like the casual mode, which is cool. You have the regular BR guys like us, and then you have the plunder kids. Like, everyone seems to be having a pretty decent time. Dude, this is probably the longest stretch I've gone without playing a single normal multiplayer match.
That's a good sign. It's either a sign of a bad multiplayer or a good Warzone.
No, I really I like Black Ops. But what I will tell you is like, because they made that design decision to kind of slow the movement down. Mm-hmm. Running my first initial warm up over in the free for all, just how responsive the movement is there, and then you come into Warzone and you can tell the difference.
Yeah, that's a design choice. I don't necessarily disagree with it wholeheartedly, but I understand that people are not happy entirely.
Well, so I'm glad you brought that up because, in talking with Lizard and a couple of the other comp kids that I've been able to play with when I've played with him, the issue is if you're going to have like that fast of a TTK that we have, you can't slow people down too, because then you take away the ability to react at all. So it's like you could leave the TTK the same, but speed up the movement, and it would probably be okay, and less people would complain about it.
I haven't seen somebody do it yet, but I would love to see somebody side by side sprint speeds and stuff compared to MW or Warzone 1, because Warzone 1 had a faster TTK than we have now.
We got to stop comparing to Warzone 1.
You have to. We're back on Verdansk. You literally can't avoid.
We're on the map only, dude. We've played a whole different experience the last 3 years.
They ported the entire game over.
People
so you have to
the
compare.
Map. They wanted the map.
What they brought the entire game loop came back. And they got rid of everything they've done. They brought back the original buy station, the original icons, the original sounds, the original map. Like, the only thing that didn't move over is the original movement.
That's great, but people, I think that's where a lot of the disconnect is. People don't understand this. Like, we're not comparing fucking apples to apples, really. We're comparing when we talk about, oh, the TTK seems fast or the movement seems slow, we're not comparing it to 5 fucking years ago when we're all on different FOV and different hardware. We're comparing it to what we literally just had a few weeks ago. And then last year and the year before that.
But we have to look at, we have to look at the 1-to-1 though that we're recreating, because in changing the TTK, they are comparing us, like they are setting up Warzone again, right? Like they're setting it up for Warzone to be the comparison, the original Warzone. And when you look at the way the TTK is structured, the counter for TTK, and people complained about that back then as well. But the big difference was that the movement provided outplay, right? Like you outplayed the TTK by being able to move and slide and combo movement chain movements together. And so it's an absolutely fair comparison to look at the two games, to look at 5 years ago versus, essentially we're playing a remaster of 5 years ago right now. And don't get me wrong, that's not a bad thing. I wholeheartedly think that this is the right approach. And then you can take what works and move forward with it, right? But we're not everybody wants to look at where we were at Black Ops, at the launch of Black Ops 6 or an MW3 and compare that. And I don't think that's the right comparison right now.
What are we, 100 base health less than what we were? What was the base health last year?
150.
It was 150. Okay, what was it with plates? What was it with 3 plates compared to what it is now?
It's been 300 this whole time.
So basically, the difference is it's not so much a health difference; it's the way the weapons function.
Yeah, the weapons are more potent. They are killing faster. But when you look at the TTK back in Warzone 1, it was 250 health. All right, with 100 base health, and the TTK was about 100 milliseconds faster than we have now on average, maybe more at range. So we have more health now and a longer TTK than when Warzone reached peak popularity. So that's so in their effort to recreate the Warzone experience that we all fell in love with, then we need to look at what they're doing differently and what they're doing the same. What they're doing the same is bringing the TTK down lower, right? Down closer to what we had. And I casually looked at it and just kind of eyeballed the math. I think the guns are dealing roughly the same damage per second on average than we had before. But we have a little bit more health. So it's that's adding that extra moment, like basically an extra bullet.
And you can't move or react.
And that's the difference, is that you can't move as fast. So you actually feels like you die faster, even though on paper you don't. And so that so that's why I think it would be good for someone who has the testing data. This would be like a J God, a Tony from True Game Data, maybe Exclusive Ace, one of these guys that has archived testing data and can recreate that in the new game and side by side, right? All right, how fast are we sprinting 100 meters, right? How fast are we are we strafing? How fast do we, how fast are these things going in a 1-to-1 comparison? so that we can sit there and say, look, the movement, where are the pain points in the movement? What really is different? And the reality is probably the ability to chain movements together. I think that's the reality of what's changed.
Well, and if getting it in line is making, so let me rephrase that. I will acknowledge that the weapons the last 2-3 years have been dog shit the way they've performed. So I'll give them credit for making the weapons better. It's just, if you're gonna make the weapons better, just don't fucking slow people down. Like I'm serious. Like there's been a couple times where I'm just like, Jesus Christ, I just got fucking deleted. I couldn't even. I had no chance to react at all. None.
Yeah.
And I fucking hate that.
And
it feels like hardcore.
And that was super common in Warzone 2. Or I mean, in the original Warzone. And and I think it's one of those things. It really got changed because Caldera was such a miserable map, and you physically couldn't see anybody half the time, and the rest of the time they were perched above you on the hill that you had to traverse because the vehicles were dog shit and you couldn't go anywhere. So they upped the health to 150, gave us 300 health total instead of 250 at that point, and then added balloons and a bunch of other stuff that kind of ruined the game. So I think it's one of those things where they have to be a little more cautious about making radical changes to the original game loop, because the original game loop, and this was the complaint. If you go back and watch videos from 2020 and 2021, particularly Cold War era, people like big names complained about the skill gap. If you remember that. Like, that was a big conversation. There's just no skill gap in the game because you die so fast. And that was, and that enabled, Timmy Two Thumbs to beat good players because they could get the drop on them and gun them before they had a time to react. Like, they didn't have that time to react because if someone got the drop on you, you died immediately. And so part of that is good audio prevents it. And good placement. If you put yourself in a good spot, then no one can get behind you because you're holding the power position, right? And what they ended up doing is they got rid of power positions via redeploy balloons and portable balloons and all that stuff. They got rid of, so power positions meant nothing. The audio went to shit. So you couldn't hear somebody getting behind you anyways. So you didn't have time to react for that. So I think they've corrected a lot of that. And they've brought it back to a more casual, focused game where it was when we started. So I don't think we're going to see a huge change in it. They might adjust. What I think they should adjust is the AK and the AMAX in the closer damage ranges, because those things are a little out of control.
They're fast.
Yeah, there are SMGs that match them, but the SMGs drop off after 10 meters, and those things fry out to 40. So I think there's I think those two guns in particular could use a little bit of an adjustment to make SMGs viable again.
But they're not broken, though. I will say that. Like, I don't feel like there's been periods of Warzone where we're like, oh, fuck, just died to another RPK or an XM4 or a cast-off 7.62. Like, it doesn't feel like that. Like, I've died to kilos, I've died to AMAX, I've died to the AK, and that's fine. There's variety, and I think that's where they did a good job with the weapon balancing. Like, you can kill with any of those guns.
The HDR does need an adjustment.
Well, yeah, if you're not going to let people move.
I will say that if you are moving and you're not, I think part of the problem is a lot of people just sprint. And they don't, like, the number of people I see don't even pull out their knife to sprint over an open field is insane to me.
Yeah, like, you can tell a difference in the speed boost. Like,
you pull out your knife, you're just whoop.
Yeah.
And then you throw your slide, the number of people who don't slide cancel across open fields, who don't have their knife out, who are just running and they're doing the tactical sprint, wears out, and then they're just running with their gun, boggles my mind. I see way too much of that.
I caught myself doing that a couple times last night, not necessarily against the open field, but running with my gun out. And I'm like, I got to fix that. Like, you know what I mean? Like that. I think that's one of the best quality of life updates they put in this game.
Yeah. And I think it's one of those things where it's like, it makes a lot of sense. It works really well. I don't have a problem. You know, I think that mechanic is great. What I think is, to me, frustrating is how hard it is to chain movements together. And that's not so much for like the open field, but like going back to the HDR, like the open field, right? Like you can zigzag and put some movement on it, and it's harder to hit at range. Like you can make it hard for them to hit you at range. But I think a lot of people don't do that. They just run, and then they get popped and they wonder why. I think the problem with the HDR is it's hard to push back against, right? The only way to really push back against the HDR beyond about 30 to 40 meters is by having your own sniper and hitting that headshot first, right? Like if they hit the body and you hit the head, you win, which I think isn't the right way to balance the sniper in the game in total. If you remember back in Warzone 1, especially in Caldera, there was after the sniper nerf, you could shoot a sniper, and you could shoot at a sniper with an AR, and you would score a lot of hits on them, but that would push a lot of flinch into the sniper, so that their ability to hit you was significantly reduced. And I think the HDR needs more of that, where if you're far enough back and and they can't see you, it's a great way to hold a position, and one-shot sniping should never be removed again. However, if you're in a gunfight and someone is landing hits on you, you should not be able to hit them back without absolute luck or sheer force of will and skill. You know, right now it's like I'll be peppered by somebody, and it's like as long as I'm not trying to take the shot at the moment I'm taking a round, I'm going to get the shot off and probably going to score a hit. That just shouldn't be with a sniper.
And they have a perk that's supposed to deal with the flinch, but I'm not going to run that over Survivor. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to run that over Survivor. But I mean, I was thinking the other day, because I had one where like a guy had a heady on me, and I was fucking I had a sniper. I think it was like a sniper or a pistol. And I'm trying to snipe him, and he's shooting at me, and I'm like, fucking, I like the flinch. I could not center my. He ended up beaming the shit out of me. I ended up going to the Gulag. Like,
yeah.
So I mean, sometimes it does feel like the flinch is there, but then there's other times where it feels like it's enough, and maybe it's because there's something correlated to the distance that you are between you and the person. You know what I mean?
Well, and different attachments force flinch.
Yeah.
So depends on the build, depends on what they have.
Yeah.
But it's not consistent enough, right? Like you should be able to push, snipers off to the point where, because here's the problem. Here at the end of the day, here's the problem is that anybody can run the HDR for the most part, irrelevant of skill, and be at least effective with it. Maybe not the most effective, but you can be effective with it. And so as a result, everybody runs the HDR because why not, right? Infinite range, great bullet velocity, very low flinch, and you're just getting these sniper offs across the map, right? So you run the HDR, and then you run the AK because it has the most damage per second dealt on it.
I'm not running that.
I mean, it's just the mentality of it. But that's why that's how these loadouts get built. Now, if you take the HDR and you add enough flinch that if somebody is shooting you, right, you aren't going to stay stable enough to get your shots off, a lot of players will stop running it and they'll go back to an AR, and they won't go. And here's the thing: they won't go to the AK because they can't shoot that at range. They won't go to the AMAX either because that's more difficult to shoot at range. They'll go back to the Kilo, or they'll go to the Grau, or they'll go to an LMG. They'll pick up the XMG, which is actually pretty fantastic if you build it right.
Yeah, I saw TP had a post on that the other day.
If you add flinch to the HDR, you can kill the meta without killing the viability of the gun, and we will get back towards a balance that we were at closer to launch, right? There's that launch window where nobody really had anything. There were a lot of kilos. There were a lot of AMAXs. There were a lot of everything going on, and it kind of has narrowed down a little bit.
Yeah, I've settled in on the AMAX. I'm running an unsuppressed AMAX build.
Mm-hmm.
That I got from Lizard, and yeah, it's fucking nice. It's a 5 attachment one. That's I don't even get my 8 attachment one. I don't have to.
Yeah, and it's kind of nice because you don't need the, with the HDR, you don't really need that. What was I running the other day that was fun? Kind of another sniper support that's a little fun. It doesn't have the range. If they ever change the close range damage profile on the AMAX and the AK, the AS Val will come back. I was shredding. So you get center hits on that thing. That thing shoots so fast. Delete people with it. But there's a lot out there waiting in the wings, ready to step in and create again like a really diverse meta. They just gotta deal with the HDR not being the ultimate king, and I think you do that through flinch.
Yeah, just kind of while we're in a middle point, I shared that the Twitter broadcast is down, and we're still live over on Twitch. So
perfect.
You might want to do that too.
Yep. And then let's see here.
If you want to share that from your page, I'll share it also from the podcast Twitter page. It's fucking stupid that we gotta deal with this.
Gotta love it. Technology is perfect. My post is 82 views, so don't worry about it. It'll be what it'll be. So anyway, yeah, I think I think the balance, the weapon balancing is so close to being ideal.
It really is
so close. And it just needs like I said, just a little bit off on the HDR, and I think it opens wide up. I think the AK, like even with the way the damage profiles, the AK and the AMAX aren't going to be wouldn't be super meta for everybody. And so you're still going to get a lot of kilos. You're still going to get a lot of growls. You're still going to get a lot of other stuff out there.
That growl's nice too, by the way.
Oh, it's beautiful. Like I have an 8 attachment that just slams. Like I ran the 8 attachment when we first on day 1, if you remember.
Mm-hmm.
And that gun just slams.
It doesn't move. Like it has less recoil than the Kilo.
Yeah. I mean, the only downside is you got to deal with the 5.56 base gun to get that thing leveled up.
Well, again, that's one of the reasons why when the game first comes out, I make sure to try to max out as much of that shit as possible, so I don't have that issue.
Benefit of the camo grind when they do shit like that. Cool. I have it. I'm good to go. Let's roll.
Yep.
So, but yeah. Gulag. What do you think of the Gulag?
I still feel like you kill too fast in the Gulag, but the other thing is like, and I know it's a get off my lawn thing. I think it's dumb as fuck that someone up above can take fucking health from me and put me at a disadvantage before my fight even starts.
Well, they can't take damage off before the fight starts.
Yes, they can.
Before the bell?
Yeah, you can start at like 148. I got hit twice with rocks and I was at like 2 less health. And I know it's only 2 health. But yeah, they can. Like we were talking about that the other night. That's fucking stupid. And I also,
well, in that case, I'm going to just pick somebody every Gulag, and they're going to lose 5 health.
I would like but not. You have to be in the Gulag, like not running around. That doesn't do anything. Like you know what I'm saying. But
what do you mean?
You know how like you have that brief time that before the match even starts, like before the 2 guys are on each side, like in your like it's like a few seconds. And then it starts like the bell or whatever. It's that time where you're both physically down in there and you get hit with rocks.
You get hit with a rock. Yeah, so I'm just going to sit there on Gulags, and when people show up, I'm just going to pelt them with 5 rocks. And I'm just going to choose. I'm going to be the angel of despair and choose somebody to lose.
Yeah, and then the other thing, dude, I wish that we could mute the fucking footsteps from the guys up above running around. That does bugs me a little bit.
Confusing. I've had a couple of Gulags where it's like I'm not sure if I'm listening to the peanut gallery up there or if I'm listening to the person in the Gulag. So that, if I recall, is a problem. That's an experience back in OG Verdansk as well, which, it is what it is. It makes it, something like that, I'll say, is a problem for both players. Like, so it's not like it's a one-sided problem. They have to fight through the footsteps, same as you.
Yeah. Oh, and the other thing is too, and I think we talked about this in one of the other episodes. So you know that that Gulag where like it's almost like a square, but then there's like a cutout in the middle, like a smaller ledge. Yeah, no, it's not a circle. It's the square one. It's the one that's like a partial square, and then you should not be able to cap the flag from outside that fucking square.
Agreed.
I had that happen to me last night. The guy was on the other, like he also took damage too. I hit him probably 4 times is what it felt like. And he was able to end up capping the flag on me outside of that partial square.
I reiterate the best thing Warzone 2 did was get rid of the flag. Famous truck. This is what I hate about Twitch. You gotta ban these motherfuckers.
Ban this. Oh yeah. See ya, bitch.
So, gone.
Jackass.
Anyways. Sorry. All right. So anyways, yeah, I don't like capping the flag. I think capping the flag is a stupid way to end it. I think the latter half of MW2 had the worst Gulag for the flag because it was just in that little hallway that was impossible. Like, it was impossible to get to it if somebody got to the flag. Like, which means you had to just camp the center to ensure that they didn't try and pop smoke and then hit the flag. It was awful. And I think the flag mechanic is so dumb. I prefer the zip line out. I think that if you're not going to, like, my preference would be there's a bomb, and if you don't kill each other or defuse the bomb or something like that, like S&D, then you both die. You both take a death. Like, you know, or it should be one of those things where there is no diffusing. Like, somebody kills the other one, or you're both dead. Like, it should be an actual 1-to-1 fight to the death. Winner takes all.
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
And so capping the flag, I think it's cap. It sucks. Yeah. It's useless, I think. So get rid of that mechanic completely.
Yep.
That being said, the Gulag, it's nice to have the showers back. It's nice to have lighting in the Gulag. I've only had, I think, 1 or 2 experiences where I couldn't see somebody, and one was it was in the half circle, like the circle Gulag, and there's that little like crumbled wall, right, that you can press up, or you're half, you know, and then you can camp the flag. And he was just curled up in a little ball, hiding in that shadow. And I walked up on him, and he didn't hear me or see me. He was like laser eyes on the flag and waiting for me to come the other way. And I looped all the way around, and I literally stumbled across. Like, I was like this close to him when I realized, oh shit, he's right there. And I shot him twice in the head with the GS-45, which is its own kind of issue, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's so weird how, like, I go through these stretches in the Gulag where I'm fucking winning like every one, and then I go through stretches where I lose every single one, and I'm like, there's no fucking in between for me. It's either I win them all or I'm losing them all. Like, I never have, like, and I know it ends up working out because, like, my ratios of over 50%. Like, I win more of my Gulags than I lose, but it's like so streaky for me in there.
Yeah. And I think too, it's like what works in the Gulag kind of comes and goes a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, you'll have certain stretches where it's like, all right, if you push left and hold that angle, and then everybody kind of starts doing that, and then all of a sudden it's like someone does something differently and they end up where you don't expect them, and it takes you a while to develop something that works.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's pretty typical. What else? But I mean, overall, I think the Gulag is much better than it was. You know, compared to like last year, it was miserable.
Just some minor changes, nothing big. Nothing that's a deal breaker to me.
Yeah, I think the GS-45 in the Gulag is kind of a weird one because you can't. It's the only gun. It's the only time I can think of where you can 2-shot somebody in the head and kill them. Like, I mean, it's only a 3-shot to begin with, even so, but it's a slower one. I don't know. It's a weird gun. It's a weird choice for the Gulag. I know pistols only is a thing, but maybe stick with the 9mm and then the Strider.
I think it'd be fun as fuck if if on the very first one you had to throw hands.
They had a Gulag a while back. They had that Gulag a while back. I think it was during Caldera, where you had an iron sight Car 98 and hands.
That's dope.
Iron sight, or maybe it was a melee. I don't remember, but I do remember I did not lose a single Gulag that segment because I would just go with the hands and absolutely just sprint to the other side, and you would get so close and so fast, like get up close on them so fast that everybody missed the first shot because you surprised the hell out of them, because everybody just is peeking corners and like playing with the car, like sniping, and I'd just be on them and just beat them to death, and it was glorious.
I almost killed Metaphor this week in the Ghoulie. And
that's a pretty hefty almost.
The reason I say almost is because I think one more bullet. So he got me with a thermite, so I took a little bit of a damage from the thermite, but I ended up getting the drop on him, but he's still, like, you know what I mean? He was able to, I had the drop on him. I just had taken more damage already, so he killed me. But yeah, almost. Yeah. Yeah, and I got shit on by iSmixy a couple of weeks ago in the Gulag. Like, I'm seeing a lot of like, and I don't want to say it's like every match, but like in a lot of these matches, there's some decent names in there, some bigger names that I'm seeing in there, especially in solos. You run that the chance of that happening a lot, which is fine with me.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of people talk about where the SBMM bracket is like all the way down to like a 1.2 or 1.3 ED, puts you just in the top bracket.
It's so weird. I don't feel like the matchmaking's crazy to me. I mean, obviously I notice a difference when if I play with Lizard versus when I play with my other normies that I play with. I'm a normie too, but like if I play normals, yeah, it doesn't feel bad at all. I play with him and You're
also playing mostly in Texas though.
Yeah.
And much earlier in the day. Like Pacific servers are awful right now. They are really bad, especially at night.
But
like, the 9 o'clock demon hours are just rolling.
With that said, I can tell a difference a lot. Like last night's actually the best Friday I've had.
Yeah.
A lot of times Fridays are sweaty as fuck. Of course, I was running solos and I choked 2 fucking matches at the end. Just because I had no idea where the guy was. I got a second, I think either 2 seconds or a second and a third. I had 13 kills in both. And like, so it was a pretty good match, but yeah, like overall, I feel like the matchmaking is fine. Like it's not bothering me at this point. Do I have good days and bad days? Sure I do. But it is what it is. Like, I'm not sweating it.
Yeah. And it's good to have to have people that you run with regularly. I think that's helpful.
Yeah.
So that's good. But yeah, I mean, I think the matchmaking is better than it's been. And I think a lot of that has to do with the increased player base. I really do think that there's a correlation between how strict the matchmaking gets to how big the player base is and how deep the skill level goes, right? Like if you have a deep pool, like if you have a lot of players on the bottom half, then the matchmaking it has an easier time kind of building decent lobbies. Versus like, last year, for example, if MW3 was not well received by the average players, arguably, and it wasn't marketed to lower skilled players at all. If I remember, most of the marketing revolved around streamers saying, hey, remember when they made MW2 for you guys? Well, this is for us, and it's our time now. That was like the big marketing push for MW3, which was probably not, in retrospect, the best. But Verdansk, I really do think, pulled a lot of people back in and has really improved. I mean, just across the board, matchmaking just feels better.
Well, so this is ideally, and you and I have talked about this, and I think we agree. This is ideally what it is. Casuals, no fucking matchmaking at all, none. Pubs, very little. Ranked, strict. If you do those things, I think that we're in good shape. But with that being said, I'm afraid these fuckers, if they keep going into that casual mode like they're doing and hosting kill race tournaments and shit like that, they're going to start drawing attention to that mode from Activision. We don't want them to fuck with any of the matchmaking as it is right now.
It's not going to matter.
Leave it be.
Here's the thing. If that matters, then the entire argument against SBMM fails. Because I don't think there is SBMM in casual mode. I have paid very close attention to who I run to. I've spectated, and I've run into demon level players at about the rate that you'd expect if there's no SBMM. Like, doesn't matter how well you play. Like, it's just, but I'll tell you, you notice them more when you run into them and they stick in your head. But I've run, most players who win those games are average at best. And I don't think, I just don't see any evidence of SBMM in there outside of the woo that people kind of create in their heads. And so if good players can ruin the mode, then the entire argument against SBMM fails. Then every game needs SBMM, and the stricter the better, because casual mode failed. So we should actually see what happens when people when big names want to play in that mode more. Because here's the thing, you don't get anything from it. So they're not going to play much because you can't show anything off from it, right? There's no stats. There's not,
okay, dude,
it's just not doable.
But here's the thing. You're the one that brought this up, and I agree with you. It's the fucking optics of it. And whether there's a good argument for or against SBMM, it doesn't fucking matter, because Activision's go-to is to always do what? Tighten it up. No matter what. And when these guys start leaving, which they're gonna leave anyway, these casual people, I fucking hate that label. These casuals are not gonna stick around anyway, because they're casual. So they're going to be looking at, oh shit, SBMM's not tight enough. Oh, well, we got kill race tournaments over in the casual mode and everything. It's fucking cheese. And those people,
but the casuals aren't going to they aren't going to know those things exist. They don't pay attention to that shit.
Dude, can we stop with that? They do. You just said that streamers marketed Modern Warfare 3 as this is for us and this and that. And so people didn't buy it. So either they pay attention to it or they don't.
But that was the marketing of it, right? Go back and look at the marketing of MW2. They had a fucking boat. They announced it with a fucking boat, right?
Yeah.
And down the river. And then you look at MW3 and how did they market it? They leaked everything to Metaphor and let him disseminate it. That was the marketing. And then what got popular on Reddit and everything was all the streamers reacting to, that video. Remember that video of all the neckbearders talking about how the streamers were going to get theirs in MW2?
Yeah, I shared that, and those fuckers, I love the marketing.
But that was Activision's marketing. That's how they told everybody the game was coming. That's how they did it. So of course everybody heard about it then, because that was their design. It flooded Facebook, it flooded Reddit, it flooded all the places that people who enjoy the game but don't spend their whole lives talking about it live.
We can't say they don't pay attention to that then, because we have people from our very podcast that would be by definition casuals who are not supposed to not pay attention to social media, be active in it, listen to podcasts, yet here we are.
What I'm saying, if nobody throws a kill race tournament, I didn't notice a kill race tournament. I didn't run into that. Nobody cared. The only people that cared are people that, are invested in the game, which is fine. And it's totally fine to be in that center, but it didn't break through in the way that it did kind of on in our Twitter circle, which is a little, you and I kind of operate in the same circles, which is fine, which is great, but it is a little bit, enclosed and circled. I talked to my buddy, he had no idea. He'd never heard of it. He doesn't play casual much anyways, but he'd never heard that. And he's casually on Reddit. He subs to the Reddit thing, to that. Cool. He's not on Twitter, right?
You know who does know what a kill race tournament is? Activision. Do you know who cares about optics? Activision.
Look, I'm going to put my tinfoil hat on.
It's a dumb fucking thing to do.
I'm going to put our tinfoil hat on. We're going to get ranked. And then BR is going to go away. And casual mode will be BR with limited matchmaking. They're going to pull a Fortnite. Because look at Fortnite. Fortnite is, 17 years or however fucking long that 10 years, however long that game has been around. And they handle their matchmaking by putting most players into a lobby with bots. And nobody fucking cares. They have a great time. And the people that are competitive either play ranked or they skill out of it where there are very few bots in their mode. And the game just lives forever.
That's probably the play. And
so Activision's not going to care if you run kill races in casual because Activision will just get rid of BR. They will say the headache of trying to manage SPMM and BR doesn't make sense. Casual is BR. Ranked is for people that want to play for something serious. And that will solve the problem inevitably. And then you put boot camp in for people that can't find their thumbs.
But the thing is like for me, I don't want to dude, I play 1 or 2 casual matches a night to warm up only. I don't want to play fucking bots.
And you'll play ranked. And you'll spend most of your time playing
ranked either. Why can't I just play pubs? Like we've always had it.
Pubs is basically ranked.
Why do we have to why do we have to ruin everything though? As a community, we bring this shit on ourselves.
I mean, it's
a dumb fucking thing to do.
It's a casual game that people play competitively, right? Like that's the reality is that's what it is. It's like friggin' those like stick pony races that you see on YouTube and Twitter, like these friggin' people running around instead of like buying a real horse, they run around with a stick horse and like run around an arena. Like it's a child's toy and they take it competitively. There's a fucking international tag tournament. Tag. You want to talk about ruining a game? Ruin tag. Freeze tag rules. Like the hell. Like you let anybody compete for anything, and of course they will take it to the max. Like it just is inevitable. So it's not like anybody couldn't see this coming. But it's like you either have, either SBMM works or it doesn't, right? If SBMM works, then pubs will forever be SBMM to the max. And then ranked is just pubs with SR. Like that's just the way it will be. Or SBMM can be gotten rid of if you just have balanced lobbies, and when you can't fill the lobby with enough casual players, you add bots in. Like enough, not casual players, low skill players. If you don't have enough low skill players to fill the lobby, you fill it with bots so you have the bell curve, and then you inevitably get a scenario in which pubs feels it doesn't feel like ranked. And the problem is, as I've done video on this, you can't do that with SBMM because people will just break SBMM. So there's never going to be like a mechanical solution to force people to only play in their own skill brackets without just making it ranked.
Well, and we know people, like we both know people that they have gone to pretty extreme lengths to avoid the matchmaking.
Sure.
I've tried to use a VPN before because I was tired of getting fucking hoed.
And it's one of those things where it's kind of like, and this was Warzone 1's problem, right? Is there was no ranked mode. There was no way to compete, right? So you had kill race tournaments. You had all this, the streamer challenges, the kill race tournaments, all these different things going on. And people just took it like they did anything they could do to be super competitive in the game.
Well, how much damage, though, did that do to the game?
That probably did a ton of damage because there was no way to escape it.
Exactly my fucking point.
There was no way to escape it because SBMM would put people into these lobbies and then people would break SBMM. And so you'd have a lobby of bots, of human bots, and then you'd have a group of streamers in there and a group of high-skilled players in there wrecking everybody. And it completely destroyed the entire enjoyment of the game for everybody else. And the problem with, or the thing with casual mode is there's only 20 other people in the match. There's 28 total human beings at all. So if you go in and you're doing a kill race, congratulations, you're kill racing bots. Nobody cares.
I understand, but you got to nip that shit in the bud, dude.
Yeah, you nip it in the bud by just getting rid of SBMM and letting it run. But that's the problem, right? Like you can't nip it in the bud. How do you nip it in the bud? Like the whole point of casual mode. Jay God did a video on this, which I think it should be must watch for anybody who wants to jump in the conversation. The whole point of it is like, and look, I have done a bunch of spectating for my videos. I have more stuff coming up. Here's the thing. When you have this casual mode, it is so good for everybody. Everybody gets to have fun. I have run into guys. I spectated a duo. One guy, the guy that I started watching he was a level 45. And I thought, oh, good, I got another bot. And then I looked, I'm like, no, that's not a bot. But he played like one. He was obviously either returning to the game really bad at it or new, totally. And the other guy was a level 653. And he had all the camos and he knew his shit. And you know what he was doing? He was teeing up his buddy. He was walking his buddy through the game. And they were having, and you could tell that they were having fun. The guy was getting killed. He had like 5 kills.
That's what the game's intended for. It's what the mode is intended for.
Yeah. And then, you know what? They got swarmed. Once they hit top 10, you know, it was basically, they ran into a human team. They got mowed down. Even the guy that was like, you know, the guy turned it on fighting that team and they got obliterated. And you know what? The guys that beat him, they were like prestige 3s. They weren't good by any stretch of the imagination, but they played together and they they caught him in a vulnerable spot. And so no matter how skilled that one guy was, he got rolled by 4 guys. Dude. It was literally the perfect example of why SBMM A isn't necessary and B, casual mode is great for these sort of scenarios, right? The idea that you can somehow create a restriction, right, on who can play the mode would have completely disavowed that first squad of playing. He would have never been able to play with his buddy. So his buddy A probably wouldn't have played the game at all. And that guy would have probably just broken SBMM to get into the lobby anyways.
My concern is that like I said, the whole optics thing, and I don't know what the solution is. I'm not sure if barring people is the way to go or anything like that. Maybe the solution is we as the community, we shame these fuckers for doing this shit.
Great option.
Maybe that's the option because like I like the mode, but like I played it last night. I solo queued in and I looked up, I had 17 kills. I'm like, I mean, I felt literally nothing. Like I fucking felt nothing. I got no dopamine hit from that at all. Like, I used it to warm up. That was it. You know what I mean? Like, I guess it's just one of those things. It's like we as a community, we do a lot of dumb fucking shit. And then we cause a lot of our own goddamn problems, i.e. the VPNing back in the day, the kill race tournaments and those kind of things. And I don't want to see this get fucked up for the people that enjoy it.
And you know what? I don't think anybody, like, I don't think a kill race in casual is capable of ruining anybody's day. Because and here's the thing, when you have to build a lobby of 150 players, right? And you're going to have 100, so you have 150 players and 4 of them are top level players, right? And they're going to in that lobby. If you want to create a scenario, let's just say that we're going to create a low SBMM, like a low bracket lobby, right? So you have to gather 150 bad players and you have one squad that breaks in there, right? And so now you have one lobby, one squad's going to drop 60, 70 kills as a squad. Nowadays, they'll probably be able to drop 100, right? That squad ruins the lobby. Period, end of story, right? They drop in, they're gung-ho, they're taking it to their, they're doing content, whatever they're doing, right? They're just going to run that lobby into the ground, and everybody will have run into them, and everybody will be, what the fuck, and they'll probably all get shadow banned. However, you look at casual, that 150 players builds 4 lobbies with the same number of people in casual versus in the main mode. So you only have a 1 in 4 chance of running into that squad, and everybody else will be, kind of in your level, however you want to define that. And that squad doesn't even guarantee that they'll win because they go off and do dumb shit. And lo and behold, the bots can actually kill you. And I've seen some people get killed by bots, and it's hilarious. But the point is, like, it creates so many factors that they're not even guaranteed to win. They probably will. Maybe they will. Maybe they won't. It doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, right, like the end circle is all humans anyways.
Well, so who cares about winning that mode?
But that's the point, right? Like some people care about winning the mode because it's the only mode they can win at.
That's other true people, too, and I don't want to see it ruined for those people. That's all. That's my only point.
And my point is like the kill racing and streamers in the game and all this stuff. It's getting a lot of noise, but I don't see it affecting the mode at all, right? Like everyone, people say, "Oh, I just run into them all the time. Every time I just die to these level 1000s." It's not. You're not. And most of the people that I spectate, honestly, are like a 1 KD or lower. You can and look, here's the thing, you can tell by their movement, the way they move, the way they approach the game. Like watch a really good player and how they just approach a fight, and then watch like an average player on how they approach the same kind of fight, and it's night and day. You'll know immediately, oh, that guy's high skilled, that guy's not.
That's fucking awesome.
The majority of people, irrelevant of their rank, are not high skilled players. All right, they're just average players playing the game, and that's who you run into. And you know what? If you're not a good player, an average skilled player is going to seem like a damn god in that game because just the knowledge and the ability to master mechanics in the game is such a gap, and that's okay, right? Like that's how you learn. You learn by fighting someone better than you and learning from that. It doesn't mean that everybody you run into is Zealander. So I think the big thing they need to do with casual mode is just leave it alone. Don't do anything because it actually is exactly what this game needs. And I'm going to piggyback on this because I mentioned this top of the episode. I had a night. I had Camper and I had NX 2000, friends of the pod both, and we just did a casual night. It was like I wasn't feeling 100%. I wasn't like ready to sweat it out, and I'm like, I just want to horse around, work on some camos. And they said, well, we'll just play casual mode. I'm like, all right, cool. Decided to mix it up. We did off meta builds, Joker, launcher builds. So you had to carry a launcher and something. Like I ran the launcher and the AS Val. That was fun. Did streamer challenges. So 1 box challenge, which gets back to the ground loot. I got a great ground loot story on that one. But if you don't know the 1 box challenge, you drop in, you get to open 1 box per life, and whatever gun comes out of it, that's what you use. And ended up getting screwed by ground loot because I opened a box and it gave me a Marine SP. I had a pistol and a Marine SP and I actually had to fight a real player. It didn't go well, but it was hella fun. We had a great time, for like all kinds of different challenges. And it's the sort of stuff that as an average player, I would never attempt in the main game because I would just get obliterated. So even if, we're out here and we could outclass other players, we still, we're doing stuff, goofing off in ways that you would never do in the main game. You could never do in the main game unless you're a top level player because you will just die immediately.
No, and that mode is supposed to be fun. And here's the thing. I want it to continue to be fun, and I just don't want to see fuckheads ruin it for people. That's all.
I'm just saying I don't think they can. Like the optics being what it is, whatever. I think Activision is capable. The one time they're probably capable of looking at the data and being like, yeah, that didn't affect anything at all. Right? The quit rates aren't going to be high. Even when I'm playing, if I just queue in with some randos and see what happens, they die and they wait for you to be bought back. They don't even quit out. They might not know how to quit out. I'm not sure. But like, yeah, I think it's overblown how bad it is. And to be honest, I as much as people are going to get mad at this, I think it's Activision's way of starting to like turn the door to make BR to get, to make this, BR be like Fortnite and just have bots in the game and just have that be the way.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see.
We'll see. But yeah, casual mode is super casual. But you know what you can't do? You know what I haven't been able to do out in casual mode? Shoot somebody out of the air because nobody floats.
Dude,
they'll dive in.
I gotta be honest. So like, I really thought that was gonna be a fucking issue. And you want to know why I think it's not an issue? Because they only give you 10 fucking rounds with that pistol. And by the time you reload, like, it's not the same. Like, I've been shot out of the air once, but it was mainly because I hovered too much. I've gotten a lot of hit markers on people. and I think I have 1 kill that way. But it has not been a big issue like I thought it was going to be. Like
I've got 4.
This pistol doesn't allow it.
I've got 4, and every one of them has been a dogfight. Like literally, like I'll pop somebody a couple of times, and then he will just his team's going off. They're going to damn right, like, and we're over Superstore, and he just turns around and like, let's go, bro. And and it's like, all right, guys, I will see you after the Gulag, and it's like, you know, we'll just dance around each other the whole way down. We're just like pulling shoots, reloading, popping rounds off. I am 4-2 doing that. W for me.
So it's harder to do that for most people. Like Silencer just said, they nerfed that pistol before season 3 for that. They made it. They're allowing you to do it, but they're just making it hard to do.
Yeah, it's really, you got to land like.
And I think that's cool. That's fucking dope.
I think in one mag you have to land 2 or 3 headshots plus body shots to one shot, like to one parachute cut.
And
or
you're
one
not
mag
doing
kill
it as far away as you were early in the early game either.
The accuracy isn't there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's hard to do. I haven't been able to drop somebody like in one mag. Every time I've done it, I've either I'm somebody else has taken shots at him already, or I've got to fight, you know, like I said, it's a dog fight. Like you're just circling each other, which has been hilariously fun. I've been enjoying it. Yeah. Like, and you know, good. Granted, it screws up the team and everybody gets mad because then I have, you know, I'm either dropping, you know, outside of airport or something, and everybody else is in promenade, and it's like, well, I'll see you guys in a minute.
Let me find a fucking whip and get over there. You know what I mean? Like,
or it's like I get, you know, I get them. I get the kill. I hit the ground, and then like, you know, another team is there, and they're like, "Oh, hello, friend," and that, you know, and then they're not very friendly.
Yeah. Dude, you know what else? Like, I thought that the plates were going to be like a huge issue. I've actually kind of gotten used to the way it is.
I started running scavenger, and I haven't had as much of a plate problem.
Yeah,
but
I've gotten used to it. Not a big deal. So like,
I wonder if they've upped the drop rate a little bit, because I have noticed more plates on the ground, and everybody's a little bit more cognizant about carrying plate boxes.
Yeah, no. Well, I mean, plate boxes more than ammo boxes, really. Like for us,
ammo's available. Yeah.
I think so. Scav is Scavenger's a blue perk?
Perk 1, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna run that over Survivor.
I'm running
Survivor's my favorite perk.
Yeah, I've got
when you get knocked all the time
stims.
Like I do.
I run stims.
It helps.
So like if I'm getting popped, I'll pop a stim, and I can usually get that health boost and zip away.
So you're talking about, you just mentioned like a tactical. Have you run the thermites at all? Like, did you open it up, unlock them yet, and put them in your loadout?
I've run them when I pick them up. I'm still on throwing knives.
Okay,
thermites don't kill fast enough to swap them out.
Let me explain to you why you should look at that. I think over the last week, since I unlocked those and could put those in my loadout, I have killed 3 or 4 vehicles with 2 of those, like trying to run me over. I got one last night. Like, nice. Yeah, you just, because also too, the animation to throw them is faster. It seems like it feels fast to me. It may not in fact be faster, but like the Simtex, have you noticed when you pull out the Simtex, they tap it and then throw it?
There's a whole
it's fucking process. Dumb as shit. Like, take that out. But like, yeah, that thermite dude, I was on the ridge over by hospital, and this dude's trying to fucking run me over. I'm just like, bop, bop. And it actually kills pretty quick. Like, it takes blue plates and then the vehicle explodes. Now, only one time did I get an insta kill for that.
Well, because it doesn't disable. It doesn't. If you just stick one, I don't think it blows up the vehicle.
I would have anyway.
Yeah.
So I would have got it. That was the one insta kill I got. But the other times it'll knock them, and then you got to go finish them. But yeah, so I'm running Survivor with restock, and now I'm running Resolute because I'm told Ghost is fucking worthless again. That it's not working.
Even if it was working, it only works when you're moving, so the usefulness of it is still reduced.
Yeah, I mean that's true. So So yeah, those thermites, dude, I'm telling you, is the way to go.
I've actually, I said throwing knives. I've actually been running spring mines, because those are fucking hilarious to leave on buy stations. So I'll have a couple loadouts where I'll just like I have if I'm going to go for a 2 attachment loadout, my first attachment has spring mines, or my first loadout has spring mines in it. Like, so I'll go for my AR loadout first, or a sniper loadout, and I'll have spring mines in it, and then I'll leave them on the buy station where we bought the loadout, and then I'll get my SMG, which has throwing knives, so I can not waste ammo finishing guys, and hitting a throwing knife, even though it's not a one shot knock, which it should be, chest, neck, and head.
I know Silencer agrees too.
It should be. However, it's still very satisfying to take somebody to just wreck them, because it does a good deal of damage and knock them all the way down and then finish them with the gun. I've hit a couple of good throwing knives, and it's also a good way to like end a fight real quick if somebody's already damaged. So I've gotten a couple of good kills with that, and then obviously the finish and move on without having to reload.
I gotta check. So here's the thing. I need to check, because I know that there's a setting where it's like you prioritize either the finishing move or hold hostage or whatever. Like, I need to check that setting, because I don't know, maybe you can you do that in solos? Because I swear to God, I had to double check after I did this that it was actual solos and not casual mode, because this fucker on train just let me walk right up behind him. I don't know how, but I ended up assassinating him or whatever. But what I wanted to do was actually grab him, because I was going to diddy him first and then finish him.
I think it's I think one is either a quick press or a hold. I don't remember which one it is. But
I need to double check that.
I've gotten into that a couple of times by mistake. I had one where I squad wiped off of it. I had one guy downed. I went to execute the second guy. Well, I went to beat him because I had to reload my gun. And I accidentally put him into that mode. And his buddy turned around, turned the corner, and I shot. I was able to kill his buddy with a couple of good headshots, while he was shooting his teammate instead of me. So, has its perks. It's kind of fun. Diddying them is always something to do. Dude, good clips.
There is nothing more disrespectful. Like, the diddying people is now the new teabag.
Which is great. Yeah. I think it's hilarious. Unless it happens to me, and then I'm rage quitting.
Oh yeah, hey, listen, everything is great until it happens to you, and then you're like, you motherfucker. Like,
yeah, rage inspiring.
Yeah, it's okay that I run a riot shield and a fucking melee weapon, but not okay if you do. It pisses me off.
Exactly. But yeah, no, I mean, I think that mechanic is kind of fun. It's definitely better than that interrogation. That interrogation mechanic was stupid. Like, not only could you not get out of it in any way, like you could just get stuck in a loop. I don't know if that ever happened to you, where it's like you can be interrogating somebody and then they can start to execute, and then you can go in and like force the reinterrogation like over and over again. Like, you could really mess with people with that. It was so stupid, because it didn't let you bleed out. Like, even if you get into the interrogation mode, you can't hold them there forever, because you eventually bleed out, right? But like when you were interrogated and it was pinging, right? Like, you couldn't die off. So you would just be stuck there, unable to quit, like unable to even like send yourself to Gulag. It was frustrating in every way. And it was a disadvantage to your teammates. At least with, when you diddy somebody, at least you're just like screwing with one person. So I think that's a W at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's fucking awesome. And Prox chat is, I swear to God, one of the best things that they brought to the game, dude.
When they let you talk, and not ban you for breathing funny.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I have to go and pull the clip, but I was running solos last night, and this dude out at fucking Millbase at the buy station that's out on the tarmac, he pulls up in a whip, and he's laying down, and I'm moving that way. So I sniped him once, and then I sniped him again. Dude, I killed him. I have never, underneath the car, by the way, and I have never heard such fucking rage as I heard then, dude. Like, they clipped it, but they only got part of it. I gotta go and get the full clip. It was just funny as fuck, dude.
It's great.
I love the death comms and shit like that, dude. That's all great stuff.
Yeah, there's some good ones, and it's like, you know, when I'm getting called a cheater, I find it just the funniest. It's like, if like I'm getting called a cheater, we're just like, we're just in a whole nother realm.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think the game's overall in a good spot. We need ranked. Ranked needs to come, and it needs to be, and season 3 Reloaded is ranked. So they put that in the they talked about, Activision has talked about, Call of Duty has talked about the fact that they are actually so happy with the way things are. They had a lot of improvements they kind of had in the wings, and they're actually going to punt them. So they're not going to change the gameplay as much with Reloaded as they were thinking they would need to, which is a good sign.
Depending on what that is.
Well, I mean, you know, it's like they have things they've announced, right? They're bringing it. They're putting zip lines on buildings.
Are those for sure? So that's not one of the things.
It's in Plunder already, right?
Yeah.
And I think what they were doing in Plunder is they were testing, like using it as like a test bed to like see which buildings need it the most. I've seen that. They'll patch it like they did before, right? They fixed it with they fixed that in MW3 at one point when, you know, you could like fly up over top of it. Crossbow Mike was not a fan of that change, but you know, I don't foresee them leaving that option the way it is.
Are you talking about where like you can jump once you're at the top of the deal and it'll throw you over?
Yeah.
So you're not going to be able to do that anymore?
Well, you can't do that now.
I never could do it.
You couldn't do that at the, you know, so like some point during MW3, the end of MW3, and definitely in Black Ops 6, they got rid of that. You can't do that anymore. So I think, you know, they'll fix that but that's the sort of thing, right? They wanted to test before they put out there. And I think, I don't know how many buildings have them, but I have a feeling they're going to only assign them to certain buildings.
I never could time that, by the way. Like
I got it to work a couple of times. I never really put a lot of effort into that personally. Probably should have, but they got rid of it, so it didn't matter. Zip lines are coming. Ranked is coming. There's a variety of other things that they've talked about. So basically what they said is everything they put in the blog post that they said was coming in season 3 Reloaded is still coming. But other stuff that they had designed and intended to put in, like if they needed to really make changes to the game, they're not doing.
Yeah, the player count's got to still be good.
Yeah.
I'd love to see what it is. I wish we could get that.
I wish we could see too. God, losing that is like the biggest negative.
I mean, just the numbers at all. Like you could, because now basically it's either you take like just what they're telling you, like even the external stuff, like the API with the stat tracker websites and stuff like that. Like, yeah, I wish we could have all that back. Like that was so awesome. I miss it too.
I miss it so much. And we're stuck with Steam, and Steam is so. I don't know what to think about it. You know, here's the problem with Steam. I actually am going to do a video about it, but I'll give the secret away now. We don't know what the hell Steam represents anymore. So it used to be you could track Steam numbers, and you could compare them to the player base as a whole via MAUs, right? So you could say, all right, in their filing, we could sort out, okay, they had 100 million people played the game in July. Right, you look at Steam, and Steam had 100,000 people played the game in July. All right, 1% or whatever it was, I don't know. It generally came out to like 5% of the total player base and 10% of the PC player base played on Steam. That's about what the numbers came out to. And there's been a variety of different ways to try and figure that out, and there's always some caveat that's there. But you know, it kind of. The math, when you kind of work it, just always kind of came out to that ballpark. However, we haven't had updated numbers from Call of Duty since October of 23. So that's a year and a half now since the last time that we have had anything resembling numbers. The closest thing we had numbers was BO6, which said they were 60% more on Steam and on PlayStation than they were at MW3's launch.
Yeah, and then all you get for Xbox is it's the most played game on Xbox. Like,
yeah.
Well, that fucking doesn't mean anything.
Which, with the state of gaming overall, it doesn't. It's probably not great.
Yeah.
But we don't know. Like, we just don't know. And here's the thing. Like, we saw a shift. We saw a big shift over time from console being the prominent thing played. Right? It was like 70% console players and 30% PC players at the launch, when that launch window of Warzone 1, to the last time we checked in, which was the summer of 2023 on Bobby Kotick's testimony for the Activision trial. And it was about 50-50. Right? We don't know if that's because casual players shifted to PC. Some, I'm sure, did. Or they just stopped playing. Now, players that shifted to PC will never go back the other way. But if casual players, stopped playing it on their Xboxes and they played something else, did they come back?
I mean, we were still hitting, I think, in the 90 million range for Warzone 2.
Yeah. I mean, like the last time we saw them, they had about 90 million.
Yeah, roughly, give or
every
take.
day, like daily players, about 100 and something million total, something like that. I'd have to pull the exact numbers, but the point is, Steam numbers we could figure out the Steam numbers and what they meant for the overall player base based on knowing all these other numbers. We knew the split. We knew the player split between PC and console, so we knew, we had that information. We need total number of players. And we could crunch all these numbers and come up with all of these and come up with this percentage of like, all right, Steam represents 5% of the people playing the game. That's a year and a half old now.
Yeah.
And we've had Verdansk, and we don't know how much it's shifted since then, right? We had Verdansk, and we also had console-only ranked come out.
And
like those two things could have dramatically changed the demographics again. Like we don't know. Like,
I think
and that's the problem.
We'll get a little bit of information in the Microsoft quarterly earnings report, but not as
because they don't break out. They don't break it out anymore.
But if you remember, like we always get some snippet of news, like during that call, like something. It's not detailed like it was. We're never going to get that.
I mean, the snippet, the way they break it out for Microsoft in their quarterly earnings is in the games department. Right now, they've shared how much Activision has contributed to their bottom line. Like that's how they break it out. Activision as a whole, right? Versus before, where we had Call of Duty, and we could break out mobile. Because remember, Activision includes mobile, so Warzone mobile, COD mobile, and Candy Crush and all that shit.
Well, and you got the PC and Game Pass numbers too that they do discuss.
Again, it does like that's not strictly Warzone, and it's not Call of Duty, and it's not like it's not granular like that. Like we don't know. Like,
but you have to assume
because like Oblivion is on Game Pass. The Oblivion remaster is on Game Pass.
That's gonna be fucking
right. So any numbers we get for like Game Pass are just you just can't apply them. Like we can't apply any of these numbers to Warzone or even Call of Duty and make any kind of assessment on how we're doing. We are completely in the dark, and every set of numbers we've had is so outdated they're irrelevant. And I think it's a problem for understanding how we're doing. Which, look, we can tell from the feel that the game feels better. You said it yourself. Matchmaking feels better.
Yeah,
right?
It has since the integration of Black Ops 6.
So it implies, and they've said the game is performing above their expectations, right? So implication being numbers have to be up. If they're not up dramatically on Steam and doesn't match their actions, which if they're going to cancel stuff they thought they could bring in to bring excitement up in the Reloaded, then it's probably not like the Steam numbers are probably not as relative as they used to be honest. Like that's the only inference that we can probably make to the situation we're in. Like it's, and as someone who loves to dig through numbers, that sucks. We just don't have any way of knowing. We're so in the dark right now.
Yeah, I don't like that, but I think Bronson's right. We're never fucking going to get those numbers back.
No, we'll never. They'll never give it to us again, which is stupid.
Don't they know we have to talk about this?
I know, right?
Like,
jerks.
Making our jobs fucking harder.
But you know what is coming back?
What?
The train.
Yep, that was a cool drop. Riddick, that's all he ever wanted to fucking drop was that train.
I hated the train when it first came out. I hated that drop because I sucked and I was bad at shooting my pistol, so I would always lose that gunfight, or somebody else would get a real gun and I would get gunned out. And so but I used to play with a guy, so all he wanted to do was drop just to piss me off. But now having gotten better, I actually enjoy that drop. I think the train's going to be hot early. I believe train station is going to open the interior. It's modeled. It's there. If you go up one of the tunnels, so on the outside, on the south side of it, they have those stairways up. And one of them, you can get up there and they have plywood, but you can hop and you can kind of see inside. And it's modeled in there. It's all there. You just can't get to it.
Speaking of like mapping and modeling and stuff like that, them fuckers are they've trolled us. There is because they made an effort to make all the corners light, especially like in the stairwells. Have you noticed spray painted on one of the walls? It says Rose was here. It does. I screenshotted it. I think I put it in my Discord. I need to double check, but yeah, I remember when I saw it, I was like,
I'd see it. If I use Discord, I'd see it. All right, hold on. Where's your Discord?
I can't remember if I actually posted it in there, but I know it's there. If I did it, I'll fucking find it.
That's incredible. That's probably one of the best things I've heard all day.
Wait a minute. Yes, it is. It's I posted it on 4/15/25.
On the main in general?
No, in Call of Duty. COD.
4/15. Oh my gosh, I haven't logged into your Discord since March.
That's fine. You're not a Discord guy.
Sorry.
And I also need to figure out how my screenshots can stop doing that it's doing. You'll see it here in a second. But yeah, this shit is fucking funny, dude.
Rose was here.
I told you, dude. They're fucking trolling.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's fucking hilarious. I'm gonna share that.
That's so funny.
I gotta talk to my guy about that.
I love that. I love that so much.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, no, that's so funny. Stuff like that. Like, that's great. Good sense of humor.
So I want to start taking a little bit more time to like read the newspapers that are posted in the windows. You know what I mean? Like just to kind of look and see, because I'm told there's like fucking more Easter eggs and shit out there, like more hints and clues. But I never take the time to look at that kind of stuff.
Well, you don't have the time because pubs is fucking slammed half the time. You know, if there's a mode where you had some time to kind of kick around.
Casual.
Yeah. You know what? Tonight I'm going to go look for those. I'm just going to load in and drop in solo and check all the windows and like look for stuff to read and see what I can find.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Yeah. Put it like, I never noticed that. Where is that? It looks like one of those apartment blocks.
Yeah. I think that's in, I think that's in the buildings that are over by the amusement park, the two tall ones.
I see it on your map. Yeah, I see it on the map in your thing. That's cool. I'm gonna go look at that myself. So I really like what they. That's so funny. But Rose isn't as good as it used to be. It ain't broken. So winning.
No, listen, dude. Nothing is broken long. They're not there, dude. I'm telling you, they are fucking on top.
Even the Terminator skin is kind of dropped off. I don't see it as much, so it's clearly not doing as good. The ghillie suits are good outside. Like I almost ran into somebody in a ghillie suit once the other day. That was hilarious. I ran him over, but so I did run into him, but
dude,
like I didn't see him until I was right on top of him, and he started shooting at me.
So one of the things that we wanted to talk about was the vehicles. You talked about running them over. Dude, I've spent more time in fucking vehicles than I ever have in the entire history of Warzone. And the vehicles all feel really good to drive.
The chopper needs mobility more. It needs more mobility. It used to be you could really, really move that thing. And I think what they've done is they've limited, like, it feels good. Don't get me wrong. It's the best feeling chopper we've had since Verdansk 84's choppers, right? And then in Caldera, if you remember, they did the gunship. So it had, it was the bigger, like, Huey based model instead of the little bird. And sometimes they put Gatlings on the, the mini guns on the side. Sometimes they didn't, and those things were trash anyways. But it was slower. It was bulkier. It feels more like that than it does the original little bird. And I think it has to do with limiting rotation, because you used to be able to almost barrel roll that thing back in the day. And so you could really get in there and you could tilt the rotor blades. Like and so it was great for clearing rooftops, because you could go in real low, tilt up on the side or tilt down and just kind of chop along the roof. And it was hard to get away from. And they've limited that. It's harder to tilt it than it used to be, which, kind of kills some of the fun of it. I don't love them as much as I used to, but they're still way, miles better, and they're still very fun. But yeah, the vehicles, they all feel good, and it's nice to have them meaningful again. Before it was like, oh, we'll just take a balloon instead of touching this car, and we can wait till the last possible second to go, and then we don't appear on the mini map. No one knows we're there. We can drop in on somebody.
Again, and it's like game loop improvement, bro. That's contributed to it.
Yep. And I had one game, dropped in with some randos, and we cleared out. Where did we clear out? I don't know. We cleared something out, and it was one of those hard circle pools, right? It was pulling way off. I think we were by hospital. And the last guy grabbed the last vehicle and took off. And so we were like, okay, well, that's fine. Well, we forgot how fast the gas was going to come, just drill us. And we all died to gas. None of us got out of the gas because we didn't pay attention.
That shit's fast, bro.
Something we would have never worried about, because there'd have been a balloon or a PRD or whatever. We just gone, we're fine. And now we know where this guy is on the mini map because he stole the only vehicle. Well, guess what? It didn't matter because we all died to gas. We could not run it. And, it was one of those things of like, decisions have consequences. And the choice to not rotate early enough, sent us home early.
That's one of the things that has differentiated Warzone from the other BRs, including Blackout, because you can heal yourself in PUBG. Like, the storms don't kill you as fast in those other BRs. Like in PUBG, it doesn't. You can run for a long time before you die in there. Blackout, you were able to use the mini and the bigger heals in there to get through. Apex, you have a heat shield or whatever you could throw down sometimes. Where it's like creates this dome over you and you can heal up or whatever. And then Fortnite, I don't think the damage does as much. It'll fuck you up, but not quite like Warzone. Like, Warzone has what feels to me one of the fastest times to kill you in the fucking gas.
It's brutal. And it's fast.
Yeah.
I don't think you can't outrun the gas in any of those other games, right? You can always outrun the gas if you just straight up sprint.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times, like for me, it was more catching up to the gas, especially on PUBG. Like, seriously, on PUBG, like it's pretty fast. The gas is fast; it just doesn't kill you as fast. Like the movement speed.
Yeah, but it's like this one. It will hunt you down and kill you.
Pretty much.
Gas don't care, which is fine. It's how it should be, right?
Yep, I agree.
Decisions have consequences.
Stop rotating late, fuckface.
Yeah, learn that lesson. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, no, I think it's going to be good. I think we're in a good spot. So Season 3 Reloaded, ranked is going to be the biggest thing. And, I know everybody spilt a lot of ink on this already, but I think the biggest thing for ranked is going to be boosting the health. I think if ranked keeps the same TTK, it's going to be problematic. I think
it won't be good.
I think ranked should have no one-shot snipers, and ranked should have 400 health. I think 400 or 450 health. Like, I think if they added 25, I think the best way to do it, because we have 150 base. If you add 25 to every armor plate and make it 75, and you can carry 3, right? I think that will be enough health to really offset like the speed of it, so that ranked feels competitive and you feel like you don't get cheese killed.
Well, you can react
as much. Yeah, and ranked, because I think ranked should cater towards skill, right? And not and it should be a combination of gun skill and positioning skill, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you should be able, if you are good with your gun, you should be able to win. If you are good with movement, you should be able to evade someone who's not great. And if you pick a good position, you should be able to hold it reasonably well. And I think the problem, the reason why Warzone BR right now feels uncompetitive is because it's not a competitive mode, right? It's a casual mode. At the end of the day, Warzone was a casual BR. That's why it was so damn popular. That's why everybody loved it, because anybody could pick it up and find some success in it, to some degree or another. And the problem is when you have something like that, and we've said it before, when people play a casual game competitively, like it turns into a hot mess. And I think if they can land ranked really well, more health, no one shots, and not bring in a bunch of the cheese that we've had in the past, I think ranked could be the first time Warzone feels really competitive, like Iron Trials did back in the day.
I gotta fucking I gotta get with my guys and see if I have a ranked squad still, or see if they have other fucking plans.
Roster Mania is underway for ranked.
Well,
that's for sure.
Because I mean, honestly, dude, listen, and it's no disrespect to some people, but like there are just some people I'm not fucking playing ranked with them. I'm just not doing it. Like I want to play ranked with people that are better than me. That's what you should do. Like, you know what I mean? Not necessarily to get carried, but you want to play with people that are as good or better than you, period.
Yeah. So. It's going to be one of those. Yeah. I hope they do it well. I hope they thought this through and they deliver a really good ranked experience, because, if in MW2, right, ranked was phenomenal.
It actually was. That was one of in my opinion, that's what saved Warzone at the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Ranked came out, and it was really good, and it felt very balanced. And there was a lot of stuff I wish they would have changed and done better, but it is what it is, right? Versus, I think ranked at the start of MW or BO6 it just didn't feel great. Like it was all the cheese and none of the squeeze. So I really hope they land ranked well. Something they did land pretty well has been the anti-cheat. It's not perfect, but it's been better than it is. And having talked to some contacts in that world, it's kind of a bloodbath for cheaters in terms of how long they can stay in the game compared to like before, where, you could be, so according to some of these people, like they would have accounts that they would just be very careful with, and those things would last forever. Like they would have main accounts that they could, very lightly cheat on and it never got banned. Those accounts all got caught, like loaded in, just bam, gone. And it's like they're turning over accounts much faster. They're getting caught much faster. Engine owning got detected immediately, so clearly they were waiting for them. If you didn't catch that, they've been holding off going live and just been in a private testing mode for a long time. Since season 3, they went live a couple days ago and got caught immediately. So they're out again. A couple other cheats are out there, but they're being very, like, the ones that are surviving are being very careful. Like they're not encouraging rage hacking and some of the other stuff that's been out there. And, people have been reporting cheaters getting booted much more frequently. So whatever they did, it's an improvement over what we've had. I think it's the best we've seen Ricochet behave ever. Yeah. Obviously not perfect. Will never be perfect. Could be better from where we are. There are a couple of developers that are still hanging on that I would like to see gone. Whether we will or not, I'm not sure. But overall, it is a better position that we've been in for a long time.
Yeah.
I think that's where we're at.
I agree. I mean, just overall the game, cheating, the game, all of it. Like, It's it's a lot of fun, and it's funny because it's people are like, I wonder how long till people start complaining about Verdansk, and I think
immediately.
Here's the thing that people have to understand too. Twitter is a place for dialogue. No,
usually
that's what it was for, right? It's for dialogue, for people to talk about the things that they have interest in, which is why you can more or less kind of choose what's in your feed and choose what's not in your feed.
Right.
So I think that we need to remember that, like, when people talk about, nuanced things about the game, or like a thing they like or dislike in the game, that's just what it is. That's what Twitter's for. That doesn't necessarily mean they're complaining or they hate the game. Well, like, I got a couple things that bug the shit out of me about this game, but that doesn't mean I hate it.
And it's one of those things of like, people are able to amplify their personal opinions way louder than I think we take than are really like relevant. Like things that don't affect most people can be amplified and become like the biggest problem, right? And the reality is it's just not. And and that's where I think, Activision always has made a habit of talking about their data, and I think that's kind of where they have to be good at understanding what they're seeing in the data, because their social media managers are probably hearing the screeching coming from Twitter and Reddit and all these other places, and then if they look at the data, they go, yeah, it's there, but it's not a big deal, right? It's not something to change. You don't upend the game for something that's not a big deal, even if people screech about it. And I think that's kind of like, it feels like we've kind of hit that point where they finally, like, they're not just living in their little data, right? But they're also not knee-jerk reacting to, the circus out there.
Well, I think they're able to prioritize issues, right? Like what's and that's a phrase this is a phrase I've been using for, since Verdansk came out, like make or break. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's not a lot of like make or break things, right? That it's going to drive people out in masses.
Right. There might be one or two people that are like, oh, this thing is the worst thing ever. Yeah. We're quitting and this game is dead. And it's like, no one will notice that you're gone. Like,
and I mean, even though like the TTK thing is an issue for a lot of fucking people, but they're
still here.
Yeah, we're all still here. I mean, but look at it, dude. Like there's people like you and I that have played Warzone continuously since the original Verdansk. We never stopped.
God,
even when the game got to be in its worst fucking state.
Nerds.
Yeah, we're addicts. Is what it is.
Yeah,
like I don't have another game I want to play, and right now I'll tell you, I'm having more fun overall playing this game right now, even with the things I don't like, than I've had in a very long time.
You're not going to go play Marathon?
Fuck no, dude. It just is it basically like a
it's an extraction shooter?
Like, yeah, I'm good.
If Apex did an extraction shooter with robots,
what do you think about the mouse and key aim assist?
I think it's stupid. Personally,
I think that makes it OP as fuck, to be real honest.
Yeah, there's going to be no reason not to play mouse and key on that mode.
Exactly.
But dude, you know who hates it? Everybody who plays mouse and key. They're like, what the fuck is this?
Well, yeah. Well, they kind of have to stand on business.
Well,
if you think about it, they have to. They've been bitching about aim assist in other games for a long time. So when they get it, they have to be like, this sucks. But like secretly playing and loving that shit offline.
Yeah, right.
I love my M&K homies. I'm just kidding, but
I did a video on this, on why I think the way aim assist works right now, it's too much. It's a little bit too much, and it's not just a mouse and key versus controller thing, because you don't run into enough mouse and key players to notice. I'm going to be 100%. If you're playing Warzone specifically, you don't run into mouse and key players as much as you think you do. Right, you just run into crackheads, snorting their G Fuel too much.
I can never pinpoint, or you know what? I don't want to say I can't pinpoint, but I don't ever think when I die to somebody, oh, that's a mouse and key player.
Because they're not a mouse and key player.
I just think I fucking died, and I know people that are like, yep, mouse and key. Yeah, that guy's mouse and key.
You don't die to the 5 ones that we know.
Yeah.
And so because you play with them, so the problem is it's just the accuracy is too high. Especially at range, right? Like at range, it's too easy to beam somebody, and you just don't miss enough bullets, and it's not good for anybody, right? Like, yeah, you're good enough to let aim assist take the wheel, and you're going to beam somebody. But the flip side also becomes true. Like, you can't evade. You can't beat the computer and get away as much as you think, as much as you should be able to. And so I think that's, and I think too, going back to our earlier conversation about the TTK, I think it's why it feels faster now is that people are just better at using aim assist. I mean, let's be clear. There was an argument back then that aim assist wasn't even real, right? Like, it didn't do anything and people didn't really understand it. And look, Call of Duty didn't change anything radically from how they've worked for 15 years before Warzone came out. Okay. But people became aware of it because we mixed it with M&K for the first time, right? And so you really got to feel, this stuff. And nobody cared back in the day. Like, you just played the game. But now we've studied it to the point where everybody understands how this thing works. And now we can be good at using the tool that they've given us, which is, typically good. But I think we're overdoing it, if that makes sense. And I think it's just too much. And putting it on mouse and key, my God, like, what are we doing? Like, Marathon, I just haven't seen anything about this game that would make me ever drop $40 on it just to play it. I've dropped $40 on games that I can't stand, and I have so much regret for that. And the idea that, like, I have to go into an extraction shooter, which, look, the thing about extraction shooters that makes them fun and engaging and last a long time, like Tarkov, is that they're freaking complicated. And the kind of geeks that want to go and play that and be that engrossed in a game get a ton of value out of it, right? Like, when there's a lot to do, when there's a lot to learn and a lot of nuance in everything, and everything you do matters, like, that makes people care about it, right?
It's the difference in the kind of content people consume. Think about it. That would be considered like long form content. And Call of Duty would be considered short form in a way because it's a bang bang thing. Like, yeah. I don't watch long form content. Anything longer than about 10 minutes, and I'm rarely watching that shit. You know what I mean?
And there's been other games that have kind of gone down the same same road. We've talked about them on this podcast. We've played these games, and there's a lot to it. There's a lot to learn. And the problem is everybody eventually runs out of stuff to do.
Did you see Gray Zone?
Yeah, they're redoing they're redoing the, and that's what you have to do in these kind of games. You have to have a lot to do, a lot of complexity to what you're doing, and then it can't be this like it can't hold your hand as much, right? You have to learn it as you play. Like, you have to just experience the game to get better at it and to learn what you're doing, right? Like, and I think Gray Zone, one of the first times we played Gray Zone was hilarious because I remember I was under that bridge.
Yeah. You
were dead like twice. And I'm like, I don't know how to make all this. I'm like pushing all the buttons and like using all the health things I get. I'm like, trying to drink water. I'm like, I don't know what all these icons mean. I'm just scrambling, trying to stay alive. And it was like, and that level of mastery is what makes extraction shooters engaging.
Yeah.
Marathon has been like, we're going to do like a pared down DMZ with aim assist on mouse and key.
That's
like, who is this game for? Who is going to, and look, a lot of people will play the game and talk about it for like a month, but like, that's how this stuff works. Like, DMZ was popular, like really popular for like a month, and everybody went, all right, what do we do? And there was nothing to do. Like, you had the case to get that one time, and it was it. And it was like, all right, cool. One person got the case, and everybody else just dropped in, swapped guns, and extracted. Like, that's how you did it. So they've just, extraction shooters have to be deep, detailed, and complex. Well, Marathon is none of those things.
Well, and by being so, it's going to be hard.
And it's $40.
It's going to be hard for just that genre in general. Like, by having to be complex and detailed.
There's a reason Tarkov is king, and nobody can unseat Tarkov.
But you're not going to get a mass following in the same way that you would for like Battlefield or Call of Duty or some of the other ones. You know what I mean? Like, the people that play these two games aren't going to be the same kind of people that are going to play something like Gray Zone or whatever. And by the way, Rick was fucking 10 minutes from me. Like, I don't know if you saw, but Gray Zone came to town to help set up gaming stations in a VFW in Denton, Texas, through Regiment Gaming, and they put Gray Zone on all of the on all of the gaming PCs, man.
Nice.
That's pretty dope. Yeah.
Awesome. Try to reach out to him, how to meet up.
No, well, he's probably already home. But I mean, and that's, again, guys, that's a game we don't play really and haven't in a while, but it's one that we want to see succeed.
Yeah. Look, I want to see competitors succeed. Here's the thing, and I'll say this, we're gonna wrap up here in a second, but I'm gonna close off on this. I want to see competitors to Call of Duty succeed. When Call of Duty came out, it was the competition against Medal of Honor and a few other games, and it has remained. And then when it went modern with Call of Duty 4, Battlefield was a competitor to it. They've traded off back and forth over the years. It has excelled when it's had to go head to head against other games. Right now, we are in a desert of competition to Warzone and a desert of competition to everything else. X Defiant should have given them a run for their money, and Ubisoft fumbled that bag so hard.
Do you see they're trying to do a BR?
So hard. Yeah, they're going to fail that too.
That's going to be...
I thought it was an extraction shooter. I thought they were doing another extractor.
No, I think it's going to be a BR.
No, because they were taking Apex and they were going to make... I don't know. Whatever they're doing. They're going to screw it up anyways. We need a diversity of games to play. If you look at the top games... they release those lists, top games played on console, right? It's like, it's like 5 sports titles, Call of Duty, and like 2 kids games.
Dude, that used to be Call of Duty, Battlefield, Ghost Recon, Rainbow Six, Halo. Like, Halo was rarely out of the top 5, if ever.
Yeah, you just had like all these games. Like, the genre was so deep. And if a game didn't bring their best, they got crushed because there were so many other things to play, and there ain't shit. Like, gaming is in such a bad state right now, and it is what it is. You know what? And so we hope Battlefield BR does well. I wish Marathon good luck. I hope they're successful. They won't be, but I hope they figure it out. Maybe make it free to play at the last minute. Change their stars. Tarkov remains, but Gray Zone, hope their new update does really well. I just hope a lot of games really come together and we can have a really competitive environment where not everybody, not one game wins it all. There doesn't need to be a meta game in the world. We need a variety of games. So on that rampage, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate everybody. Unfortunately, our Twitter feed died off, so if you migrated over to Twitch, I appreciate it. You can find us.
Yep, go ahead.
Every week on Twitch. We are at SAAG Gaming, right? No, what are we?
SAAG Podcast
on Twitch. We're also, this episode, of course, goes live, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all the good places. And then you can find Jay either on Twitter or on Twitch under J007 TV. I am on Twitter and YouTube these days, also under at Sub1KD. Appreciate everybody for dropping in, and we're going to catch y'all in the next one. This has been Sub1KD, along with J007 TV and the Slightly Above Average Gaming Podcast. We're logging off now, so we'll see you next time.